Me photograph after another. An agent. And we're back with Harrowings and the Passing Show. I was just passing some signs there. Your kidneys are sending an SOS, high blood pressure. And then they go to advertising for Mervis diamonds. Okay. Whatever. Time to head this way. Down 12th Street. We're going to go down to Main Avenue and to the Anthem on the wharf. Not too far a walk. Might have been a little closer to go on Font Plaza Metro stop, but there's nothing really right on top of the waterfront you can go to there at the wharf. So I walk a bit, get some exercise, keep the body moving. See a Christmas tree up there in one of the apartments. It's already lit. Post Thanksgiving is kosher with me. Not to put too fine a point on it, to mix my metaphors, although I do. So it goes. There's some other Christmas trees to be seen over yonder. I guess that's a place you can live. I don't think I realized that. It's probably newer. I used to work down here a little further down the block, the Department of Education, and before that, I was across the street at Care First Blue Cross Blue Shields Federal Employee Programs Operations Center, working on the National Provider Identifier modifications needed to be made to the systems to be compliant with the Health Insurance Portability and Accountability Act, HIPAA for short. Must admit, I'm not a fan of all the regulations we have, but both parties are responsible for them, and there are probably reasons that pass my understanding. One thing's for sure, we're in a right mess, but we always are. And we're always transforming and trying to improve bit by bit, yard by yard. I want to cross here. I guess I can. 33 seconds. Why not? Even I could cross here too, I think, without issue. That's annex, now leasing. Loft-like apartments. Probably directly when they were built. Might have been here the whole time, and I just never noticed. I don't come along this way very often. Let's see. There's a cornerstone here. 1936. Henry Morgenthau Jr., Secretary of Treasury, and Henry Wallace, Secretary of Agriculture. Louis A. Simon, Supervising Architect. Milo Mellick, Supervising Engineer. 1936, this building. So an example of Art Deco. Yeah. This thing actually where ICE headquarters was. Is it possible? Possible. Maybe it was the building below. I got my credentials done at ICE for one of my gigs. Tried to recall which one it was. I think it might have been for TSA. And that was good. I had that for quite a while. In fact, I probably would have had it good till 2026, but that gig didn't last that long. So the young lady was going to Annex, which has apparently been converted into condominiums, at least in part. At least in part. Leasing hours there. So that's a little bit of the passing show. Who, what, when, and where. That's what it's all about, folks. Not trying to make a great work of art, but it's a work of my life, which is a work of art of sorts. Art-like objects, as my friend the everyday junglist likes to say. T of Tijuana. Um, he's given us some border crossing education of late. And if you look up the Everyday Junglist, you'll probably find his videos and mine out there. And sometimes we've been talking to each other, and that's always fun. He's got a site he calls Everyday Nonsense. No, Intelligent Nonsense. He's the Everyday Junglist, but he does intelligent nonsense. His claim to fame from my book is getting himself permanently banned from Medium because people didn't get his sense of humor. And I think that was probably just a hallmark of how tenuous our grip on our freedom of speech is in this country. I don't think he was shouting fire, but I wasn't there. So you judge for yourselves. Or just don't judge. That's always a good idea. Judge righteous judgment. They said it. Now, here, I think, is the ICE headquarters where I once got my badging. And I think here also, next door down, I think, is the entrance I used to use when I was going into work at the Department of Education, where I served the chief enterprise architect, Joe Rose, since retired, while I was working for eGlobal Tech, Sonia Jane's company. Sonia has moved beyond our sight and hearing. Poor dear. She suffered from cancer. She fought bravely, died with far fewer spins around the sun than I've gotten. I'm grateful to Sonia, grateful to all the people who have crossed my path, whether we think well or ill of each other, doesn't matter. We've all helped shape each other's course and journey in life. I didn't have the easiest time with it coming up, but none of us do, is what I learned as I get older and wiser. I didn't want to get wise, as the Who said in the Who album they released in 2020, right at the pandemic's beginning. I don't want to get wise. I don't want to get wise because I want this. Yeah, that's sort of how it goes, whether we want it to or not. Going through this little tunnel here, getting me going in the right direction for the wharf. Above me, a lot of roads crossing, a jet making its way up out of National Airport. You just see its flashing lights there. And now it's just out of sight. We wish them well. I wish everyone well. This day after Thanksgiving, 2025. District of Columbia has witnessed a tragedy as an immigrant coming over 2021. A special visa decided to get armed himself and shoot two of our National Guard's people patrolling by Farragut West Metro entrance earlier this past Wednesday afternoon, about 2:15 in the afternoon. Broad daylight situation. Pretty horrific. I was walking by there not long after, saw the police tape, and was heading over to the DC Central Kitchen benefit John Cadlesic puts on every year. This time with his outfit he calls Furthermore, which featured the rhythm guitarist and bassist of Last Fair Deal down Virginia Beach, Virginia. That's where they're based, I think, primarily, Hampton Roads area. So it goes. I'm really grateful for the community that is spinning up support for those who are less fortunate, while also making our way from dawn to dusk, doing the best we can with what we have. In this case, I'm supporting the artist Patti Smith tonight as a member of her audience for the 50th anniversary of Horses, a seminal album covered by Robert Mapplethorpe. partner in the early years. She wrote Just Kids about their relationship as a homage to Robert, told their story. And then she wrote M Train, which is written Wool Gathering, Devotion, so many others. And now The Bread of Angels, which is her latest work. We're looking forward to reading that. I'll pick up a copy at Lincoln Theater December 19th, when Patty will again be in DC to do that part of her book tour. You talk about tireless artist, 79 years old, still getting out there and doing it. And we should all be really grateful for that. So yeah, 70 something power. I'm outside of the waffle place. I'm very close to my destination now as I made that bend around on 12th Street. I should remember that because I sometimes walk back a much slower route that's darker too. A turn by Fat Fish will probably put me right on top of the Anthem, not far from that Pearl Street. I don't think they'll have an after show, but I don't know. We'll see. Two of those folks walking while I'm talking. Officina. And so we wait. So we wait. Fat Fish is probably a seafood place, I would bet. Big advertising for something. Jack Daniels, number 7. I hear another jet going up out of National over there. And so it goes. By Maiden Lane. Apparently. Waiting. A detour ahead. Yeah, have you seen them, Lee Penman? Where'd you see them? Oh, looks like the count has started. I'm sure the shows are incredible. It's also William Blake's birthday, so she's got to do My Blake in Year, right? I think that's really a nice touch of being in DC for that particular moment and time. In the time. Tiki TNT. I got some folks who didn't know where they're going, but maybe I don't know where I'm going. Actually, I never really know where I'm going. I don't care. I just like to go. Beacon. Yeah, the Beacon shows were outstanding. I heard. Saw. I think you can get them all on YouTube now. It's amazing what we can do to amplify the signal through the noise. Good to have you on board, Lee Penman. I don't know if we've ever met, but if we ever do, if you're ever in DC, you know where to find me. In the bunker. Just don't try to get in. Yeah, serious security. And they're taking no prisoners these days, I tell you what. Seagulls, Market Pier, Rasher's Rum, the Grill. Not far. Not far. Just have to hold my phone near the scanner. It's said. I don't have to pick up a paper ticket, so I should be able to walk right in as soon as the doors are open. Looking forward to that. See, you got an LOL there. I don't know what you're laughing at exactly, but I love it. I love laughter. I love any type of interaction. I like to ask, where are you? Who are you? And how are you? In classic Deadhead fashion, the Dead asks that of their fans in the Skull and Roses album, and everything cascaded from there as the Deadhead community blossomed. And you could write to them at San Rafael, they'd write back, and It was a heck of a community overall, made up of a lot of very interesting people over the years. Steve Wozniak, I think, was a fan, as was so many others. I mean, it's just the internet really sprang out of a lot of those inventive personalities of that time period. Steve Jobs would not have been Steve Jobs without having been exposed to a lot of the same things that the dad were exposed to. And was telling a friend recently something he probably didn't know, which is the Velvet Underground were called the Warlocks and managed to record under that name. And that caused the Grateful Dead to not try to record under that name, and instead to record as the Grateful Dead. We could go into the details of that story, but it's all told very well by Phil Lesh and Searching for the Sound, his memoir. Phil, we remember, passed away October 2024. It was the 25th of the month, and deeply missed. The rest of the guys would get awarded Kennedy Center honors that same year. I was expecting Phil would be a part of it. He was not able to be. And so it goes 6:41. I expect that people are lining up outside. They're going to have a Home Alone in concert with the National Symphony Orchestra screening that original film. It's the holidays. Trisha Paytas. Did I pronounce it right? I don't know. Paytas. Could be 1 12 12. Cash Money. Billionaires. 12:15. Actually, a friend of mine had a band called the Millionaires in Richmond years ago. It looks like they may actually be letting people in, which is kind of astonishing. I didn't expect that. Folks shooting outside. Stay there. I'll go in line and I guess I'll go on inside. I didn't realize I could get in this early, pretty early. Let's see. I'm going to cut this so I can do everything I need to do. Thanks for joining.